Imagine for a moment your computer screen glowing in the absolute darkness of your room. It is the middle of the night, and the silence is so thick you can hear the thumping of your own pulse. You are browsing an anonymous forum, scrolling through line after line of pixelated text, when you suddenly stumble upon a question that seems harmless enough. Someone asks if you remember a movie from the 1990s about a genie in a lamp played by a famous American comedian. Immediately, a sharp image flashes in your mind. You remember the cover of the videotape, the purple color of the title, the over-the-top smile of the lead actor, and you can even evoke fragments of scenes you watched on the tube television of your childhood. You smile with nostalgia. But then you read the next comment in the forum, and then another and another, all confirming a terrifying truth. That movie never existed. No studio filmed it, no actor starred in it, and no store ever rented it out. Yet, you remember it. And what is infinitely more disturbing, thousands of strangers on the internet remember it exactly the same way you do. Welcome to one of the darkest psychological labyrinths of our era, an abyss where the human mind and the global network collide to create what we know as the digital Mandela effect. To unravel this psychological terror, we must first abandon the comforting lie that our memory works like a video camera. For centuries, human beings have naively believed that remembering is simply rewinding a tape and pressing the play button. But experts in neuroscience and cognitive psychology have warned us time and again that memory is, in reality, an act of creation. Every time you bring a memory to the present, you are not retrieving it from a security vault. You are rebuilding it piece by piece. And in that assembly process, the brain is astonishingly lazy and wildly imaginative. It fills the gaps with assumptions, secondhand information, desires, and fears. Now, take this flawed biological machine, this factory of malleable memories, and plug it into the most massive, instantaneous, and chaotic communication infrastructure ever created by humanity. The result is not just a database error. It is an epidemic of collective false memories that threatens to disintegrate our perception of historical truth. The phenomenon takes its name from a peculiar and somber incident that erupted in discussion forums in the early 2010s. Thousands of users discovered, with genuine dread, that they shared the absolutely vivid memory that the famous South African leader and civil rights activist had died in prison during the 1980s. People remembered watching his funeral on television, the tears of his widow, the riots in the streets, and the speeches of world leaders. But the unmovable reality was that this man had survived, had left prison, had become president, and was still alive at the time the internet debate originated. How is it possible for a multitude of people, separated by oceans and cultures, to share such a specific historical hallucination? This is where the concept stops being a pop culture curiosity and enters the territory of pure psychological horror. We are not talking about forgetting where we left our keys. We are talking about your own mind betraying you, fabricating a false biography that feels identical to the truth. And the internet is the perfect breeding ground for this mental infection to spread. When we analyze the anatomy of an anonymous discussion forum, we realize it is a liminal space. A liminal space is defined in architectural and digital psychology as a place of transition, a site that is neither the origin nor the destination, an endless hallway or an empty waiting room. Internet forums operate on this same ghostly frequency. They are spaces where physical identity dissolves and only ideas remain floating in a digital void. In this environment, the barrier between the self and the other becomes dangerously thin. When a user posts a false memory, say, about how the name of a famous family of children's storybook bears was spelled, they do not do so in a vacuum. They throw a spark into a dry meadow. The algorithms and the very structure of these communities are designed to reward consensus and mutual validation. This gives rise to what social psychology calls the social contagion of memory. The social contagion of memory is an insidious process. It works through collective suggestion. When you read dozens of people describing in great detail the black tip of the tail of a famous electric cartoon mouse, your brain enters a state of cognitive dissonance. Your original mental file might have been blurry, but the pressure of the group narrative is overwhelming. To resolve the discomfort of uncertainty, your brain retroactively alters your own memory to fit the crowd. Suddenly, you remember the black tail too. You are sure of it. You could swear it in a court of law. This is the true terror of the digital Mandela effect. It is not that history has changed in a parallel universe, as the web's most eccentric conspiracy theories suggest. The absolute terror lies in the fact that truth is fragile, malleable, and can be hacked by a comment thread on a website. We are faced with the irrefutable evidence that our perception of reality is, at best, a fragile gentleman's agreement with our own subconscious. But to understand this paranoia in depth, we must look at the internal mechanisms of human behavior in front of the screen. The endemic loneliness of the modern era plays a fundamental role in the creation and consolidation of these false memories. The contemporary sociologist observes that we live in the era of the greatest technological hyperconnection in human history, and yet, rates of social isolation and depression have reached unprecedented levels. Human beings are tribal creatures. We evolved to seek belonging to a group because, in ancient times, exile meant certain death. Today, that tribe is no longer the physical village, but the virtual community. When a lonely individual finds a group on the internet that validates their vague childhood memories, they experience a rush of dopamine. Feeling that you share a cosmic secret, a forbidden memory that the rest of the world has forgotten, or that some evil corporation has tried to erase, gives a sense of identity and purpose. The false memory becomes a rite of passage, a secret password to belong to an elite that has seen the seams of the simulation. The user prefers to embrace a shared lie rather than face the terrifying truth of their own flawed memory and deep existential isolation. This leads us inevitably to examine the aesthetics of the phenomenon, the aura of an urban horror story or creepypasta that surrounds the Mandela effect. The narrative built in these forums usually adopts a paranoid tone, typical of a classic dystopian novel. People talk about glitches in the Matrix, collisions of timelines, and parallel universes merging in a chaotic way. Why does the collective mind prefer to invent extreme science fiction rather than admit a simple neurological error? The answer lies in our terror of losing control. To accept that our brain confabulates, that it invents details to make sense of a chaotic world, is to accept that we are not the sovereign masters of our own identity. If your memories form the basis of your personality, and your memories are plastic and manipulatable, then the question that emerges from the darkness is paralyzing. Who are you, really? To evade this sudden identity crisis, the internet user externalizes the problem. It is much more comforting, though in a macabre way, to believe that the entire universe has fractured and magically altered, rather than accepting that the organ locked in your skull is losing the ability to distinguish between reality and fiction. As we dig into the deeper layers of this phenomenon, we encounter the concept of source amnesia, a critical term in the psychology of testimony. Source amnesia occurs when you retain a piece of information, but your brain completely erases where it obtained it. You might remember a scandalous fact, but you forget if you read it in a respected history book, if you heard it in a fever dream, or if you saw it in a low-quality meme while quickly swiping your finger across your phone screen. In the age of information overabundance, source amnesia has gone from being a clinical anomaly to becoming our natural state of existence. We consume thousands of images, headlines, comments, and fragmented videos every day. The human brain, which evolved to process life at the speed of a walking pace across the savannah, is being subjected to a massive bombardment of stimuli at the speed of fiber optics. In this environment, the filing system collapses. The mind keeps the concept but destroys the source label. Thus, a humorous photo edit on a satirical forum becomes, weeks later, a legitimate historical memory in the user's mind. Irony rots and transforms into dogma. This decomposition of memory does not operate in a vacuum. It feeds directly off commercialized nostalgia. If we look closely at the most famous examples of the digital Mandela effect, we will notice an undeniable pattern. Almost all of them revolve around corporate logos, cereal brands, cartoon characters from the 80s and 90s, famous quotes from Hollywood movies, and children's book covers. It is no coincidence that our most passionate false memories are anchored to consumer products. Pop culture is the new shared mythology. It is the only truly universal language left in a fractured society. Nostalgia, as cultural theorists tell us, is a deceptive feeling. It is not the desire to return to a real past time, but the longing for an idealized past that never existed. A safe past, where the world was simple, morally clear, and wrapped in the pastel colors of childhood. When the internet questions whether the mascot of a certain board game brand wore a monocle or not, it is not questioning a trivial fact. It is directly attacking the emotional refuge of millions of adults who feel lost in a chaotic and hostile modern world. Defending the existence of that imaginary monocle becomes an act of irrational resistance against the relentless passage of time. However, the abyss is even deeper, because the digital Mandela effect is only the symptom of a much more serious and widespread epistemological disease. We find ourselves right in the middle of the post-truth era. Post-truth is a somber concept that defines a cultural climate where objective facts have less influence on the formation of public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. The internet, which in its early days was hailed as the ultimate library of Alexandria, the supreme equalizer that would bring enlightenment to every corner of the globe, has mutated into a machine for fragmenting realities. The Mandela effect demonstrates to us empirically that truth is no longer an unmovable lighthouse, but a disputed territory. If a community of hundreds of thousands of people can convince itself that an entire continent has changed geographical location on maps, or that a movie that was never filmed is a masterpiece of their childhood, the implications for our civil society are devastating. If our collective memory is so vulnerable to manipulation in matters as trivial as the brand of a peanut butter, we must ask ourselves blood-chilling questions about the foundations of our human history. What happens when these same dynamics of social contagion, confirmation bias, and source amnesia are applied to political events, wars, social movements, and the atrocities of the past? We are no longer talking about children's board games. We are talking about the very architecture of our civilization. Gaslighting tactics, or psychological manipulation to make the victim doubt their own sanity, used to be the domain of individual abusers and small cults. Today, the architecture of the web allows this manipulation to be applied on a planetary scale. History is being rewritten in real time, not by a dictatorial ministry of truth, but by the chaotic and decentralized consensus of anonymous forums and algorithmic echo chambers. This sociological nightmare is accelerating toward an even darker precipice, with the massive emergence of artificial intelligence and synthetic content. Tech ethics experts warn us that we are entering a phase where audio-visual evidence will completely lose its power to anchor us to reality. Cloned audio and hyper-realistic computer-generated videos are already capable of creating false historical documents with a fidelity that deceives the expert eye. If the Mandela effect of the previous decade was based solely on text and cross-suggestions in discussion forums, the next mutation of this mental virus will have fabricated forensic evidence. People will not only debate a doubtful memory, they will be able to generate and distribute fake footage that validates that distorted memory. The line between organic memory and synthetic insertion will dissolve until it disappears completely. We will enter a territory where fact-checking will be practically impossible because the historical record itself will be riddled with digital hallucinations generated at the consumer's request. The fragility of historical truth in the face of these forces is the true psychological terror of our age. History is no longer a marble building carved with the chisels of journalism and academia. It is a sandcastle built on the shore of a digital ocean, perpetually churned by storms of misinformation. Every time we log in, every time we read a conspiracy thread at 3 a.m, we are contributing our own grain of sand to the erosion of objective reality. The Mandela effect teaches us that the human brain, designed to seek patterns and meanings in the shadows of caves, is tragically ill-equipped to navigate the sensory overload of the global network. We are ghosts caught in a machine of infinite mirrors, chasing reflections of memories that were injected into our minds by an indifferent algorithm. In the end, when you close your browser tabs, when you turn off the screen and darkness once again takes over the room, you are left alone with the echo of your own thoughts. The terror does not come from the monsters hiding under the bed, nor from the killers lurking in lonely alleys. The absolute terror, the ultimate alienation, is understanding that the most intimate sanctuary you possess, the sacred archive of your own experiences, is invaded territory. To understand that the very fabric of your reality is held together by invisible threads of cybernetic consensus, and that it would only take the digital mass agreeing tomorrow for your entire personal history to become nothing more than a poorly remembered anecdote, a ghost in the machine, a collective illusion fading into the binary wind of a universe we no longer know is real, or simply an internet forum pushed to the edge of madness.